In the past, organizations used to have offices because you just needed a place to put your people, and you wanted to see where people were working, because if you saw people at their desk, then they were working. But now, because with technology we can work anywhere, anytime, people have wondered, do we even need an office anymore?
When you think about how people work and how people worked throughout history, interaction has been in the center of the human experience. When we were hunters and gatherers, the people we worked with were the people we lived with. You got to know them at a very deep level. A small change in facial expression or tone of voice actually communicated a lot.
People need to be around other people. When we're not, we feel isolated socially. We begin to feel disconnected from our organization and from our work.
Humans evolved to work socially, not to work in isolation. What that means is constructing a workplace that pays attention to the social environment.
Most innovation is a team sport.
Real value, real creativity, real ideas emerge between interactions.
The most inventive places are hives of activity.
The complexity of the stuff that we do has really demanded this really intense, high volume collaboration between people. And for humans to transmit complex information, I don't just need to talk to you. We need to be on the same page. So we need to be in the same social group. We need to speak the same language.
You know, creativity is there. It's just waiting for different people to connect in different ways.
We as humans, culturally and biologically, evolved to respond to face-to-face. And that's what we still really need today.
What I think is interesting when we talk about the future of work is when you compare a city to the traditional corporate organization, the traditional office. You know, the city is a place where you have all sorts of emergent possibilities, where these networks can collide and fuse all the time. So to me, the question is how do you make the corporation more like a city? How do you create spaces where serendipity can happen?
More and more people are getting out into the community and connecting with each other and really learning from each other.
If you lock people inside a container of work with a bunch of people who work for the same organization, well, you end up thinking the same way. You work for the same company, in the same industry, with the same customers, with the same problems that you solve in the same way. If I get outside of my organization, I bump into different people. They're going to make me think differently about my work. It's going to lead to much better innovation.
In any sort of society or regime or anything that prizes innovation and new ideas above all, you're going to try to come up with new forms of organizing that can unlock all this tacit knowledge in people's heads.
Tacit knowledge is, it's really the lifeblood of society. Tacit knowledge is the reason we have organizations, is to preserve that tacit knowledge, to transfer it across people.
Employers are now looking at how do we tap into that latent value that's hidden in those employees and create some agility inside the organization to make this happen.
Basically, we need to do a better job of managing for emergent outcomes rather than efficient outcomes.
And it turns out that there's actually been a lot of research showing what kinds of communication patterns, what kind of networks best support the exchange of tacit knowledge. What we've seen over and over again is that space is what fundamentally shapes how we interact. If you sit near someone, you talk to them a lot. If I sit on a different floor from you, I never talk to you. If space can improve how we communicate, that is fundamentally what improves performance and what makes the company money. The workplace is really not about a cost. It's not an expense. It's an investment in communication. Office spaces create communication. They create collaboration between people. I don't think we've appreciated how strong an impact that has on the way companies operate.
The idea that you can actually create these really natural collisions in the workplace through the roots is kind of an important part of our design. So we create these very, very circuitous routes that hopefully bring you about to meet other people. So we'll purposely create extra wide corridors, have a whiteboard close by, and this is all by design. We know that in well-designed spaces, well-thought-out spaces, well-curated spaces, people will hang out there, and that's what we want.
That you can't plan for that specific interaction. I can't tell you, hey, you should interact with this person, because I actually don't know if anything good's going to come out of it. What I can try to do is set up the environment in such a way that eventually the right interactions are going to happen. And that's what they're trying to do.
You know, the flagship case study they did was a call center for Bank of America.
Call centers have been managed one way really since the 1960s. The idea is that we want to keep you on the phone as much as possible. And anytime you're not on the phone is time that I'm losing money. What that means is that if you're on a team of people trying to sell a product, when you're on a break, no one else is on a break.
You know, make the call as fast as possible and get them off the line and be purely productive.
But it's unclear if that's actually the right thing to do. So what we did with a call center, with Bank of America's call center, is we put wearable sensor ID badges on a number of their employees to measure how they actually collaborate at work.
The great insight they got from all that data was have everyone take a coffee break at the same time rather than stagger them out for maximal efficiency so people could chit-chat about work.
What we found out was that people who had these very tightly knit networks, so the people you talk to talk a lot to each other, those people completed calls in half the time as people with the least cohesive networks. It's a massive effect.
And all the metrics that Bank of America wanted to achieve, they achieved by letting people talk to each other.
For Bank of America, that is worth tens of millions of dollars a year.
We talk about skills, and we talk about retraining, and we talk about learning, and there's all these great trendy ways of thinking about how we improve ourselves. And I think the fastest way we do that is to discover people who we have something to learn from and learn it from. And that's what tacit knowledge is really about.
When it comes to generating the big ideas, the new ideas, it really is about these collisions, these random conversations between people that oftentimes go nowhere, but the 1% of times they go somewhere, that's where the big things happen.